There once was a person who had a fig tree planted in his orchard. And when he came in search of fruit on it, but found none, he said to the gardener, "For 3 years now I have come in search of fruit on this fig tree, but have found none. So cut it down. Why should it exhaust the soil?" He said to him in reply, "Sir, leave it for this year also, and I shall cultivate the ground around it and fertilize it. It may bear fruit in the future. If not, you can cut it down." In 2016, I went to a silent retreat, and at the beginning of the retreat, I decided to pray with scripture interactively. This parable of the fig tree was the reading of the day. And so after I read it, I asked, why didn't you take care of the fig tree earlier? Why wait until the master says, chop it down before you decide, oh, maybe it could use some fertilizer. Maybe I should take care of it. And then maybe it'll do what a fig tree is supposed to do. After I asked the question, the first thing that popped into my head was the tree wasn't ready to be fertilized. It wasn't quite ready yet. But then what grew in my heart was the answer. The tree was sufficient in its beauty and shade. About 5 years before that, my mom had passed away of cancer. And what I realized is that during her time of sickness, I felt more and more repulsed by her cancer, by her sickness, by who she was with cancer. I stayed with her. I spent lots of time with her, but emotionally I felt like I was miles away. What I realized is that my memory of my mom was tied to those feelings of guilt and shame over the repulsion that I felt when she had cancer. What God was saying to me in that moment was who I was sufficient in my beauty and shade, in my love and care, in my presence in her life, in the freedom that I invited her towards in her life. Who I was sufficient in my beauty and shade. I wonder if there are any times in your life that you look back on with shame and regret. And I wonder if this Lent, you might be invited towards praying with this parable. Tell that story in prayer and allow God to see all of who you were during that time, warts and all. It doesn't matter. God's seen it already anyway. And then allow yourself to see yourself through God's eyes. From God's point of view, who were you during that time? Is it possible that who you were was sufficient for your beauty and shade? Is it possible that who you were was exactly who God intended you to be during that time in your life?